Imagine creating a game that the whole world falls in love with, but none of the money comes to you, nor the fame, nor even the right to talk about it. A game that captures the human mind, addicting in the truest sense, and even after you turn off the screen, it continues in your thoughts. The name of this game is Tetris, and this is the story of the man who realized this game would take over the world, but he himself was consumed alive. Few people who have used a computer or mobile device haven't heard of Tetris. This game, designed and released in the 1980s, quickly took over the world and became one of the first games described as addictive. The rules of Tetris are simple and easy to learn. Simple geometric shapes made of squares fall from the top of the screen, and we must rotate them to fit together at the bottom with no gaps. In this business story, we explore the world of Tetris. In the 1980s, Alexei and Vladimir both worked at the Academy of Sciences in Moscow. While officially they were both computer scientists, Alexei focused on programming and Vladimir was interested in psychology and human-computer interaction. The story of Tetris begins in 1984 to 1985, when Alexei was working at a state research center affiliated with the Academy. One of his hobbies was designing computer games. This allowed him to have fun while testing the capabilities of different hardware. Alexei designed dozens of games during that period, but only Tetris has remained memorable. All the pieces in Alexei's game were made of 4 squares. He combined tetra, meaning 4, with his favorite sport, tennis, to create the name Tetris. But why did Tetris endure? Why, unlike the other games Alexei designed, is its name still remembered today? Tetris owes part of its success to Vladimir. Fascinated by the game, he believed it was unlike any other Alexei had designed. Vladimir spent hours playing Tetris each day and realized it could become addictive, a key factor in its global success. He said most games quickly tire the mind, but Tetris is so addictive that the mind forgets fatigue. He also believed Tetris could enhance spatial visualization skills and perhaps be marketed around this unique feature. Vladimir noticed another interesting point. He told Alexei, "As you walk through streets and alleys, you see shapes and arrangements that remind you of Tetris. This alone can help the game sell better and stay in people's minds." Alexei was not a businessman, but Vladimir convinced him to spend time commercializing Tetris. He was sure the game could change their financial destiny. Seeing his colleagues engrossed in Tetris during breaks helped Alexei accept Vladimir's ideas about its commercial potential. Tetris spread rapidly. Not only the original version, but many slightly different versions appeared in the market. The key was the idea of Tetris itself. If you have the concept, implementation is easy. Within just 2 years, by 1986, similar versions appeared in Europe and the US. One person who noticed and liked the game was Robert Stein, owner of the UK company Andromeda. He went to Moscow to meet Alexei. He offered about £100,000 for the global distribution rights if Alexei collaborated, which Alexei agreed to after consulting the Academy. No money exchanged hands, and no contract was signed. This was just a preliminary agreement, so Stein could begin European and American distribution. Stein quickly returned to Europe and collaborated with Mirrorsoft to distribute the game globally. Mirrorsoft had creative designers who made red boxes to symbolize Tetris's Soviet roots. To make the name resemble the Russian alphabet, they reversed the R to ties. Everything seemed ready for global release and Alexei's potential fortune. But a simple problem arose. The Soviet government noticed the deal. The Soviet regime, lacking many achievements in public welfare and economic development, valued any global success. The idea that a Soviet game penetrated Western civilization was significant, so they claimed it for themselves. Soviet law meant that if the government took interest in a commercial activity, the creator had to comply or risk arrest and imprisonment. Alexei agreed to assign the game's ownership to the Moscow Science Center for 10 years. At the time, 10 years seemed almost like a lifetime for a game. Elorg, a Moscow-based organization, was given authority to oversee software deals with foreign companies. Elorg asserted that Tetris belonged to the country, and any purchase negotiations had to go through them. Stein had no choice but to negotiate with Elorg, and Alexei had no real say in these talks. The game was effectively seized. Stein eventually received international distribution rights from Elorg, and, that same year, sold 100,000 copies in the US through Mirrorsoft. The success on personal computers led Atari and Nintendo to seek console versions. Elorg claimed previous contracts were for PCs only and demanded new agreements for consoles. Legal battles between Nintendo and Atari became a story in itself, particularly as Atari, thinking they had the rights, produced hundreds of thousands of cartridges. Nintendo intervened, and Atari had to discard them. Meanwhile, Alexei gained no profit from his creation. Next came licenses for handheld devices, precursors to modern mobile phones. Hank Rogers, an Indian-American businessman in New York, traveled to Moscow to secure the handheld rights. Alexei was invited as an expert in Elorg meetings, but still had no real authority. In 1990, Hank helped Alexei and Vladimir move to the US, and they founded the company Animatrix together. During their years in the US, Hank grew closer to Alexei, while Vladimir became more distant. Vladimir, who had encouraged commercialization, ultimately faced financial failure alone. In September 1998, shocking news appeared in American newspapers. Vladimir Pokilko, a Russian immigrant and founder of Animatrix in Palo Alto, California, killed himself after murdering his wife and child with a hammer, ending his life with a knife. In a note, he wrote, "I was eaten alive." Vladimir's foresight went unrecognized. Research later confirmed all his insights. Tetris was addictive and beneficial to cognitive function. The Tetris effect is now a recognized term. Although Vladimir did not design the game, his encouragement was crucial to its commercialization. Fans of Tetris often acknowledge his contribution, even if images of him are absent in later celebrations. And this may be Tetris's most important business lesson. In the game of business, if you don't understand the rules, even the best piece won't find a place to land. For more business stories, subscribe now